You step outside with your morning coffee. The yard looks just like it always does. Same trees, same feeders, same patch of sky. And in the background, there are birds singing, not loudly, just there, like they always are. Honestly, you don't think about it. You never do. But here's the thing, in that exact moment, while you're still half asleep and reaching for your phone, the birds in your yard are doing something actually extraordinary. They're reading the planet. Every chirp, every little movement, every tiny pause between calls, it's all part of a constant living broadcast about the state of the world right around you. Most mornings that broadcast is basically saying, everything is fine. But some mornings, it isn't. And the kind of terrifying part is that you won't hear the difference, but they will. Think about this for a second. We live in a world packed with warning systems, apps, alerts, sirens, satellites, but for millions of years before any of that stuff existed, life on Earth had its own built-in early warning network. It's hardwired into feathers, hollow bones, and these tiny, almost impossibly sensitive structures inside birds' ears, and it still works. Right now, in your backyard. This is the story of what birds know before you do. The first thing you need to get is silence. On a normal morning, your yard is never truly quiet. Even when it feels quiet, there's this constant background texture of sound. Sparrows calling out their boundaries, finches answering back, a jay announcing itself from a high branch. This isn't just random noise, it's a living sonar system, a constant environmental check-in that biologists sometimes call the ambient biophony. The birds are basically measuring the world through sound, and they're doing it every few seconds. Now, here's the part that really gets to you. When that sound stops, it doesn't just mean the birds have flown off. It means they've all collectively agreed that something is wrong. That sudden, total silence, the kind that makes you pause mid-sip and look up without even knowing why, isn't just an absence of noise. It's the most intense, concentrated piece of information the natural world can send you. Every bird in that area has independently reached the same conclusion and taken the same action at basically the same time. They've gone quiet. They've gone still. And that decision, it didn't come from nothing. Something shifted. Something you can't feel yet. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because that shift, it didn't just happen when the birds went quiet. It started way before that, deep down where we just can't see or feel anything at all. Think about an earthquake or a massive storm. Before anything actually breaks, the earth doesn't just snap, it warns us. Scientists call it infrasound, these super low-frequency vibrations that travel through rock, water, and air way before you'd ever see a sign of trouble. You can't hear them. It's more like this slow, deep pressure, like the planet itself is sending out a physical message. We're totally oblivious to it. But birds, they aren't. Inside a bird's ear, there's this little curved chamber called the lagina. It's basically a high-precision pressure gauge, and it's sensitive to those frequencies in a way our ears just aren't. And it's not just their ears, their feathers, especially around their face, act like a massive sensory array. They feel those tiny micro-changes in air pressure the same way your fingertips feel texture. Honestly, the whole bird is basically one big living antenna. So, when the Earth starts its pre-disaster broadcast, birds don't necessarily think danger right away. They just feel like something is off, like a wrong note in the middle of a song, and that feeling, it triggers something ancient deep in their system. They get alert, tense, they're suddenly ready to bolt. So, that silence in your yard, it isn't the birds being dramatic. They're just picking up on a signal that you're completely deaf to. But here's the thing that's even weirder. The silence is just the start. The real show is what happens next to the flight. You've probably seen it, right? That sudden, synchronized eruption, birds just blasting off a wire or a tree all at once, moving in the same direction. No leader, no signal. It looks like it's choreographed, and in a way it is. Researchers call it the decision threshold. See, every bird is constantly running a little calculation in its head. Is it safer to stay here, or should I leave? Usually, the answer is stay. Food is there, their territory is there, and flying takes a lot of energy. But as those infrasonic signals get stronger, as the pressure builds and the world starts feeling wrong in their very bones, that calculation starts to tip. And when it tips for one bird, it's like a domino effect. The others notice the movement. because they were all already on the edge of that same decision. That first bird leaving acts like a trigger. Within seconds, the whole group is gone. They aren't following a leader. They're all responding to the same reality they felt independently. The first bird just gave them the green light to act on what they already knew. Now flip that around. Imagine you're standing in your yard that morning. You're watching them eat, preen, sing, and then, just like that, they're all gone. You'd probably think, huh, that's strange. But the scary part is, by then, it's already too late to just call it strange. Here's the thing that's actually pretty wild. Birds aren't just looking at the sky or listening to the earth. They're watching you. Honestly, this is the part that usually freaks people out. Birds are masters of routine. The ones living near your house, they know your schedule better than you think. They know when you head out the door, your patterns, your rhythm. It's not that they're obsessed with you, it's just that you're a piece of their environment, and for them, stability equals safety. When you're predictable, they stay calm. But think about what happens on a bad day, a disaster day. If you got that gut feeling that something is off, maybe you're rushing, you're twitchy, you're looking around, the birds notice. Your anxiety, that weird erratic energy, it's just data to them. It confirms what their internal systems were already picking up. The human is acting weird. The environment just shifted, and then you get this feedback loop. The birds get uncomfortable, which triggers your own subconscious unease. Your unease then confirms their alarm. It's this silent, invisible conversation between two completely different species, and neither of you even meant to start it. So, here's a practical tip. Next time you walk out the door and just feel off, like something's wrong but you can't put your finger on it, look at the birds. Seriously, they might have already been watching you, and they've already drawn their conclusions. But it goes deeper than just your behavior. Birds are actually sensing the air itself. Before a storm or a major weather event hits, the atmosphere changes in ways we can't feel, but they definitely can. Static electricity builds up. The barometric pressure drops. The air literally gets heavy. And I'm not being poetic here, it's just physics. Birds pick up on this immediately. They have these specialized pressure sensors in their beaks and skin, called Herbst corpuscles. They can register atmospheric shifts that even our best barometers would struggle with. And once that pressure starts to drop, their behavior shifts. Their calls get shorter, sharper, more urgent. Some species just go silent. Others start making these low-frequency alarm calls to us. It just sounds like regular bird chatter, but to them, it's a clear message. Something is coming. The air is wrong. Get ready. So, whenever you hear that ordinary bird noise, maybe stop for a second. You're actually listening to a weather report in an ancient language, even if you never learned how to read it. We're getting into the deepest layer of what birds are actually doing here. They aren't just reacting to danger, they're predicting it. And they do it using something that's basically a cognitive map. Think about it. After years of living in the same landscape, these birds build this incredibly detailed memory of their environment. They know where the high ground is, where the cover is thick, where the water is open. They know, in this pre-verbal, instinctual way that's actually really smart, exactly where to go to stay safe. When the signals start piling up, the infrasound, the pressure shifts, the static in the air, that weird change in the soundscape, they don't just panic and fly in random directions. They move to specific spots, safe zones. They're heading for higher ground, moving inland, getting away from the water. That massive synchronized sweep across the sky, that's not a panic attack. It's an evacuation to a known destination. Just sit with that for a second. No weather apps, no satellite feeds, no sensors. They're modeling the near future of the planet and acting on it, sometimes hours before our best tech even picks up a blip. And honestly, we've mostly stopped listening. There's a reason, though. Over the last century, we built these systems that made listening for ourselves, well, unnecessary. Seismographs, radar, emergency alerts. We offloaded all those survival instincts into our tech, and in doing so, we let that older part of us, the part that read the birds, that felt the silence, that noticed when the yard just felt wrong, we let that part of us just atrophy. The disaster was never actually a sudden event. It was always a slow-moving signal building up for hours or days, in frequencies and pressures that nature was broadcasting at full volume the whole time. We just stopped being the receivers. So the next time your yard goes quiet, I mean truly, unnervingly quiet, the kind that makes you pause without knowing why, don't reach for your phone. Just Pause, look up. Notice how many birds you don't see. Because in that silence, there's a conversation happening that's been going on for millions of years. The birds aren't just disappearing, they're already somewhere safer. They made that call using info, the Earth provided info, that was sitting right there for you too, if you just knew how to listen. You're living inside the same warning system. You always have. You've just kind of forgotten how to read it. Now, I want to hear your take. Have you ever stepped outside and realized the birds were completely gone right before a storm or a tremor or something you couldn't quite explain? Tell me exactly what you saw and where you were in the comments. We're building something. Here are a real map of these silent warnings, straight from people who were paying attention when it mattered. Drop your story below. I read every single one.